Right. So welcome back. Sorry for the clash. For the Zoom did drop our session. So unfortunately, I couldn't do much about it. So an expansionary fiscal policy, then when the central bank has an interest rate target, the interest rate is set at IA. So this is the first one. So it's targeting that. And then then increase in government spending, i.e. pursuing a fiscal policy, the IS curve shift to the right. So your IS curve it was supposed to shift to the right, and then when it's shifted to the right, i.e. shifting to the right this way, what will happen? As real income rises and real money demand rises, in order to prevent an increase in interest rate to IB, the central bank then must increase real money supply. So you need to keep in mind that when you pursue expansionary fiscal policy with a strict interest rate target, will be more effective at increasing the level of output than the same increase in government spending when the central bank keep the money supply constant. So an income increase with the increase in government spending, real money demand increases as well. The central bank must increase the real money supply, MS, to prevent the interest rate rising. The increase in government spending shifts the IS kept to the right and increase aggregate demand and output at the same interest rate level. Now, please remember that when you talk about a variable changing, not only that the output will increase, but it will increase over and above the amount of government spending increasing because of what? Because of the multiplier effect, right? Okay. So with LM relation, which LM relation should you use? It depends on the question at hand. Take, for example, the case of increase in G, shift IS kept to the right. You may want to know what happened to Y and I. If the central bank money supply to remain constant, in which case we will use LM relation derived earlier. But you may want to know, example, the central bank is likely to keep the interest rate constant for an entire period when the government spending is increased. So that's how so read on the question and try to understand what is the central, which one are we trying? Are we using the flexible upward sloping LM curve, or are we talking about the horizontal LM curve? Right, as usual, I put an example. Why? Because I think the best way to learn as an economic student is through examples. Actually, right. So here I went all the way out and I found an example, and I want us to discuss it on how to go about. So of course you have C, I, G, and T. So solve the equilibrium output. What is the level of the multiplier? Now, if you change your investment, sorry, I just want to admit these guys, Karabo and Lamek, yeah. So, right, so, yeah, these guys are in. So, sorry guys, I see some are struggling to get in and out. Okay, so I have an example here. I want us to discuss this example. So what are you given? You are given consumption, investment, government spending, and taxes. What do they want you to solve? Solve for equilibrium output. What is the value of the multiplier? Now let the investment depend on both sales and interest rates. So I could rewrite my investment in this. So remember, what does B1 stand for? B1 is what? Is income elasticity of what? Of income elasticity of investment. B2 is interest elasticity of investment. Solve for the equilibrium output at a given interest rate is the effect of the change in autonomous spending bigger than what it was in A. Y, assume that this is equal to that. Next, let us introduce the financial market equilibrium condition with real money demand equal to real money supply. So you have that. So you are given that again, that your real money now is given as this and this, which means you are what? This is what? This is interest elasticity of real money. No, income elasticity of real money is D1, and D2 is what? D2 is interest elasticity of real money. Okay, so let us start. So consider the first good market. Okay, so if you are given that, you know that Y is equal to what? Y is equal to C plus I plus G. If you simplify and you move, you collect Y's together, you get that what? y is equal to this, and then this should have been the autonomous what? The autonomous factor. Now, if you do a dy dA, you get that this is 1 over 1 minus c, and this is the multiplier. And it is not greater than 0, but it is greater than 1. Why? Because remember that marginal propensity to consume lie between 0 and 1. So long as this number is very small, 1 minus a small number, you're going to get a 1 over 0 comma something. And that should be a greater number. And that's explained the reason why when you increase government spending, for example, by 50, the output will increase by more than 50. Why? Because your multiplier, your multiplier is bigger than 1, right? Now, let the investment depend on both sales and interest rate, i.e. when you change like this. So it means now for I, you are going to introduce this. So if you do that and you simplify, you get that y now is equal to this is this time this time that. So what does it mean? It means this part will be your intercept and this will be your slope, right? So if you do a dy di, again, this will be great. This is negative, which means it's down. Is is downward sloping. So y is your dependent variable and I is your independent variable. Or you can switch the other way around, right? Because you are plotting I on the y-axis and y on the horizontal axis. So this tells you that there is a negative relationship between interest rate and what? And output, right? And if you change these variables, if you increase investment, your output will increase by this value multiplied by whatever investment have increased by. Similarly, if consumer confidence improve, output is going to increase by, so let us assume that consumer confidence go up by 10, and this value, when you sub for C1 and C2, maybe you get 5. So if this is going up by 10 and this value is 5, it means output will go up by 50. So that's what it means. Again, this is a typo. It should be greater than 1. Right. Next, let us introduce the financial market equilibrium condition with real money demand equal to real money supply. So you have that. This is the money. So of course, money demand M over P is equal to this. You solve for what? For Y. So you get that. Again, here we see that there is a positive relationship between what? Between your interest rate and your income, which means this is what? A upward sloping. Now, what does it mean when the LM is horizontal? When the LM is horizontal, it means this thing is what? It means this thing is what? When LM is horizontal, what do we mean?
Fixed.
So what happened to this equation? Which things drop away? You are saying that LM is horizontal. So of course, there is no positive relationship. So this thing is going away. So you are just talking, there is a fixed what? A fixed level of what? Which one?
Interest.
Is interest, right? So to simplify, you calculate the equilibrium output and interest rate. So so for me, I am Ezekiel. So Ezekiel is always going to find a way to make things easier. So what I did was I took this thing and I let it to be gamma, right? So I say gamma is equal to that. And then I took 1 over what? 1 over that to be beta. So y equal to this minus that. I can now sub there and I let this whole thing to become autonomous spending. I call it A. So what did I do? So y is equal to gamma A minus B2 gamma I. The LM as well is going to become beta plus delta 2 beta I. Then I simplify and I get my solution. So you see, I can always find a way of simplifying and get that. So that's not difficult. So is the multiplier you obtain smaller or larger than the multiplier you derive in your answer to A? Explain your answer. So the multiplier then will depend much on the parameters in the model. But yes, the multiplier in the financial and good market likely to have a smaller impact compared to one in the single market. Why? Of course, remember there is interest rate affect investment negatively. So actually the multiplier will actually be smaller compared to just a pure looking one market. When markets are interacting, the multiplier tend to become smaller, right? So that's one thing. Okay, so homework. So I expect you to do this And in our next chat, I hope that you will have done that. So I will want to stop here recording, and I will hear if you have a question or if you have, if there is anything else you want me to chat about. So I'm gonna stop recording.